Does the Buu saga spell an end to our story with Raditz? Well, he sure hopes not. Hey guys, MasakoX here. It's time for September's edition of What If Week! For those of you who might be new to the channel, every month I dedicate an entire week to speculate about the stories that never made it. What if Toriyama's tale diverted in a drastically different direction? Something that is very different to what we grew up with. These are the stories that probably didn't make the cut, but now will see the light of day. We start this week off with the continuation of the story that you guys have been absolutely craving for in the comments for the past few weeks, and that is, of course, the 6th part of the classic tale. What if Raditz turned good? If you haven't seen the first 5 parts, I shall leave a link to the playlist in the description and up top, of course. Where we last left off, the gang were excited to be fighting each other in the 25th Tenkaichi Budokai, and Goku was about to come down to Earth to test his mettle against his brother, and of course the principal Saiyan's Vegeta. Raditz is particularly interested to see how he compares to his powerful brother, and Vegeta's just keen to trounce both of them because he wants to show the power of the Saiyan elite, blah blah blah, yeah, you get the idea. What will be interesting is how much the Majin Vegeta arc will differ now that Raditz is an actual valid addition. How will the motives of Majin Vegeta be changed? Well, we're gonna find out now as we delve deep into part 6 of What If Raditz Turned Good. With Gohan being Gohan, the completely passive but very sweet boy, he has agreed to take part in the 25th Tenkaichi Budokai along with most of his family at the behest of Videl after being kind of blackmailed. Oh, that relationship, it starts off so well and sweet. Everyone agrees not to turn Super Saiyan so as not to actually trigger any bad flashbacks of the Cell games throughout any member of the audience. Ranch, being the cynical one here, thinks that Trunks will renege on this deal and will go Super Saiyan out of frustration if he's not winning, having a little tantrum there. Goten, being Goten, just champions that Trunks is the best, no one could beat him, he's awesome, I'm being a really nice little lackey. Goku arrives with Barba and we get the typical awkward first meeting of him and Goten, although it actually turns out pretty sweet in the end. Ranch is a little wary too of meeting Goku again, but she's not as wary as Goten because she does kind of remember her uncle from when she was a baby, but other than that, it's still been a very long time, especially when you're a kid. Raditz, though, he's completely jubilant to see his brother again. He gets him in a headlock saying, "Oh brother, good to see you again! I hope that you've been training in the other world, because I want to test your mettle as Saiyans and prove that we are really strong, brother!" As you would expect, Goku and Raditz have just a big ol' hug. Ranch is a little nervous about joining this hug, but her mother Launch persuades her to join it, and together, they now do a big family group hug. Aw, hugs are nice. Goku asks the kids if they're actually taking part in the tournament, and especially in the junior division now that's been actually devised for the under-15s. Ranch and Goten say yes, but Trunks, who wasn't aware of this change in the rules, is absolutely horrified that he doesn't get to fight any adults, he has to fight some punk kids. Of course, Trunks has a little tantrum, but Goten reminds him, quite rightly, that that means that they will definitely get to fight each other for sure. Ranch was aware of this rule, of course, and proceeds to tease Trunks incessantly for it, and just saying, "What, you didn't actually read the rules, did you? Ugh, typical Trunks, always going gung-ho into something. Ugh, you're so readable." But don't worry, she doesn't hate him. It's like one of those playground crushes. She does have a little crush on him. Like, you know in the playground, where a guy and a girl, they just kind of, like, kind of like you, I do. It's kind of like that. Remember, they're only like 8 or 9. The gang meet up with Krillin, 18, and their new daughter Marin as they prepare to watch the Junior Division tournament. In the original story, Goten and Trunks make it to the final where they duke it out and cheat a lot. But in this scenario, I think that Trunks doesn't make it to the final. What? Masako? Trunks doesn't make it to the final? What are you blithering about? Well, do you remember that he got all flustered that he didn't get to fight adults? It shows that he's quick to anger and quick to temper if things don't go his way. Something that Ranch, who knows him very well after training with him for so long, knows exactly how to exploit. She also anticipates that he will break out Super Saiyan at some point, especially when he finds out that he's being beaten up by a little girl. And sure enough, that does indeed happen. She can read Trunks like a book. As Ranch actually beats Trunks, Vegeta just looks on in disgust, going, "Huh, a disgrace to the Saiyan race. I knew I shouldn't have trained that boy. He's completely useless." We then see Ranch and Goten duking it out in the final, but in all surprises, Goten is the one to win. What? Well, if you think about it, Gohan and Goten have been training incessantly for the past few weeks. Goten's really come on strong now that his brother's taken his training seriously. And also, do you remember from the last part that Ranch did used to train with Goten, but after Chi-Chi put a stop to that, she then moved on to Trunks, so it's actually kind of forgotten how Goten works in terms of a fighter. And also, he's come on a lot since they last fought. With Goten winning the prize in the tournament and Trunks off somewhere licking his wounds, the whole Mighty Mask episode doesn't occur. Meanwhile, the Supreme Kai and Kibito arrive at the tournament like they do in the anime, and proceed to enter the tournament. But as that's all going on, the whole Videl-Spopovich fight, much to my dismay, continues, and everyone is completely distracted at the absolute carnage. With his disguise as the Great Saiyaman all but gone, Gohan decides just to reveal his Super Saiyan 2 form to Kibito to prove his strength, and pretty much like a chump, he is then assailed by Spopovich and his energy is completely drained, ready for Majin Buu's revival. Shin then confirms that he indeed is the Supreme Kai and tells everyone that it's up to them to try and stop Babidi, the magical diminutive little wizard, and his assistant Dabura, the demon god, from actually bringing back Majin Buu to life. After all this exposition and lots of flying, they arrive at Babidi's spaceship, where they see Spopovich and Yamu being turned to jelly as they go. Seriously, didn't that scare you as a kid? As Babidi takes the energy vessel down into the ship, Dabura then spots Piccolo and Krillin and turns them to stone like they do in the anime. Goku, Gohan, Raditz, and Vegeta then enter the ship and descend down into its depths, and then fight the same cronies like we see in the show. The entire team then descend to the 3rd level. Who is going to take on Dabura, I wonder? As that's going on, there is now a battle royale going on to decide the victor of the 25th Tenkaichi Budokai. Mighty Mask still takes part in this, but it's actually the original instead of Trunks and Goten are hiding in the costume. And of course, since there's Android 18 in there, and Mr. Satan, it's pretty much down to them again, and as you know, Mr. Satan wins because 18 likes money. But let's get back to the main event. Who is actually going to fight Dabura? Even though Gohan's actually saying that he's gonna take him on, Raditz then steps up and says that he wants to take him on instead. As you might expect, he just wants to one-up Vegeta after witnessing him take out Pui Pui so easily. He just wants to show that, ha! I can take on a demon god and win against you, Vegeta! Then I'll show you who's stronger! In this situation, Gohan is more than happy to sit this one out because he is all too aware of the bitter feud that is going on between Raditz and Vegeta, and he chooses not to get in the way. A smart move, and also good for the fans. Raditz, who is a lot more trained up than Gohan at this point, immediately powers up to Super Saiyan 2 to try and scare off Dabura, the actual article that you see here. Thanks, Malik. Raditz and Dabura fight for a very long while. They are pretty much equal in power, but ultimately, Raditz is able to best Dabura and is ultimately defeated at the hands of the Saiyan. How does he actually finish off Dabura? Well, of course, it's gotta be one of his classic moves. It's a Dynamite Monday and Shining Friday combo. After the fight, Babidi is left absolutely horrified that his entire plan is about to be unraveled in front of him, but suddenly, he witnesses an opportunity. Something staring him in the face, and something that is going to be clearly his golden ticket in this scenario. Vegeta and Raditz are straight up arguing, and this isn't like a typical little bickering match, this is a full-on shouting match. Vegeta is really sore that he didn't get a chance to take on Dabura and show his power to Raditz, but then Raditz says that he never actually stepped up. I was the only one to step up and show my brother how powerful I am. You said nothing, and you were really tired after fighting that little twerp. Goku and Gohan are caught in the middle of this shouting match, and it's quite clear that things are going nowhere fast. Babidi seizes the moment and catches Vegeta's mind off guard. He eventually takes over Vegeta's body, his mind is consumed, his power is increased, his mood changes entirely, and we then get the classic character that is Majin Vegeta. And of course, the whole world tournament disaster happens like it does in the anime. Goku tells Vegeta to stop, but Vegeta is focused squarely on Raditz. He wants to finally put an end to this rivalry for good, and this new power-up might just be the thing to do that and silence his former minion once and for all. Raditz, who is actually quite excited by this prospect, agrees to the challenge. Babidi then transports Raditz and Vegeta to a wasteland location very far away. It's up to Goku to try and break these two up, but he can't find their energies, he can't lock onto them. Babidi then enters Goku's mind via telepathy and says that his instant transmission power won't work. he has managed to actually mask the arena that Raditz and Vegeta are fighting in to the point where there can't be any magical intervention. Goku has to try and find them the hard way, the original way, trying to find them in a hot-cold situation. Vegeta then lets rip how he's waited long enough to try and defeat Raditz. For years, Raditz was his lackey, a weakling, a little mere minion in his actual peripheral vision. Now, this guy's actually risen up to try and beat him? This is the absolute ultimate insult to his character. It has to be actually gotten rid of. This has gotten to Vegeta's pride more than Goku's presence ever did. Raditz is fully aware that Buu might be released if they keep on fighting, but this whole tussle has been going on for far too long and it has to actually be stopped right here and now. And of course, they're Saiyans. They do love a good fight. However, Majin Vegeta's power is just simply too great, and his hatred towards Raditz is just fueling the fire even more. Raditz is on the verge of collapse, but before Majin Vegeta can unleash the final blow, Goku arrives just in time to try and save the day and stop this madness. Vegeta then decides to fight both of them, and even after Buu's seal has been broken and the Majin has been unleashed upon the world, the fight continues for a little bit. Buu is causing all sorts of infantile havoc, and even this begins to stop the trio of Saiyans in their tracks and actually concentrate on the bigger picture. Vegeta then insists that he's learnt the error of his ways and decides to give up there and then. Or so you think. Relieved to hear this, Goku walks up to Vegeta and actually congratulates Vegeta for actually understanding the scenario here. But in typical fashion, Goku let his guard down and is promptly knocked out by the prince. Raditz protests this, but Vegeta is absolutely resolute at this point. He has won their little game. Raditz doesn't matter to him anymore. He is simply trash. Vegeta has proven his point, and he can now finally move on. Vegeta then heads off to try and face Majin Buu alone, taking a senzu bean with him. The brother of Goku is left shocked, disappointed, and saddened, but he then remembers that he has to try and wake up his brother and try and stop this evil mess from getting any worse. After besting the Supreme Kai and Gohan, Majin Buu makes his presence felt to anyone who can sense energy. He's having the time of his life with all of these people playing with him. Meanwhile, since Deborah died quite a while back, Krillin and Piccolo are slowly revived from their stone tomb and actually try and figure out what is best to do right now. They spot Majin Buu and decide to keep their distance. Ultimately, Majin Vegeta then has to resort to sacrificing himself to try and atone for his sins and wipe out Majin Buu from the face of the earth. Albeit, the weight of his sins isn't as great as it is in the anime. He's not as remorseful here. But the one thing that's keeping him going through all of this is the personal satisfaction that he has actually finally defeated Raditz in a battle. He lets off an explosion which seemingly vaporizes Majin Buu, but as you know, it does nothing. In the aftermath, Buu reverts to his original form and is completely uninjured. Vegeta just died in vain. Once Goku wakes up from being knocked out, Raditz then informs him of the situation and that he can't sense Vegeta or Gohan's energy anymore. He decides to not tell Goku that he actually was defeated by Vegeta. That's a little step too far in his book. And with that, we end this part on the brink of the fusion dance being taught. In a poll I conducted last episode, I asked you guys who would actually fuse with Trunks. It was a very close call, but in this poll, 53% of you chose Goten to be the one to fuse with Trunks. It makes sense, and I thank you so much for voting, but I got a little bit of input from a user, bcharizard1, about a possible scenario that I could use in the story, which will be very interesting and will give everyone what they want in terms of a fusion. What these fusions will be exactly? Well, you're going to have to wait for the next chapter next month, which will probably be the final chapter of this adventure. This time we saw the feud between Raditz and Vegeta come to a temporary conclusion, Ranch getting the best out of Trunks' temper tantrums, and Goten finally getting a chance to shine. This chapter may not have deviated from the original Z story too much, but I kind of get the feeling that as you progress throughout the Dragon Ball Z story, it gets kind of harder and harder to deviate from the original plot, because the whole story is focused squarely on Goku and Vegeta and, to a lesser extent, Gohan. It's kind of hard to think of a viable and sensical twist to proceedings, but, you know, I'm gonna do my best. I'm going to provide something that is grounded in the reality of Dragon Ball, whilst is also different enough to satisfy the people that do love a good what if. So I hope to see you all for the final chapter of What If Raditz Turned Good next month. So what did you guys think? Did you like this part of the story? Do you have any ideas for the next one? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later!